All right, good night, everybody. This is Steve, and welcome to Comix Asylum Live. I'm here with Jay.
What's up?
And special guest, Surge, also known as the One Surge. So if you are on Instagram, make sure that you are following this amazing artist. We got some amazing topics to hit tonight, and we're going to dive right in because everyone's been waiting. So, Surge, how you been?
Good, man. Good. Just recovering from the big Fan Expo show here that was here in Toronto just over the weekend. Lots of people, lots of running around. You name it. We were knee deep in it, trying to draw and sell, and it was a big party there.
Excellent. So, what was one of the standouts for you? We'll get back into Fan Expo a little bit, but I just want to know, how was it for you? As a what were the things that stood out?
For me, I think the biggest thing is always just being able to showcase new stuff, and then I think everybody's really into the Wolverine Deadpool movie, so that was a big mover for us as well because I had done a couple of pieces for that. I had some prints going, some original artwork. Those were all very popular, and we sold quite a few of those items. So it was a good crowd. A lot of people really enjoyed some of those pieces that I did.
All right, perfect. So we're going to kick off tonight's stream talking about Blade. Talk about a project that is absolutely in development hell. Jay, what are your thoughts on Blade? Is this like 7.0, or is that where we are right now?
You know what? I think where did we stop originally? I think it was Blade 3 or 4. I think it was Blade 3,
3.
Right? I think it was.
Yeah, we had 3 with Wesley.
Yes. Yeah, and I think the last one. Coming off of the success of the second film, with Guillermo del Toro, I mean, like, he had this vision with a whole bunch of different mutated, upgraded vampires. They had like mandibles, which flap open like xenomorphs and things like that, right? So I think coming off of that, they were pressured to actually come up with an interesting story, and it didn't really pan out the way they thought. Bringing Dracula back and things like that. Spoilers ahead. Sorry, guys. If you haven't actually watched it, there's a problem.
What, 30-year-old spoiler?
Yeah, I know, right? But the last, dear God, what is it, like, decade, right? It's been longer than that. So it's almost been 2 decades right now. It's
yeah.
What was the last Blade movie? The last Blade movie was 1990. What, 1998? 1999.
Let me check that out.
That's great. It's such a long time.
Research team that we have here.
And the
2004.
2000. Okay, so I was a little bit off, but still, that is 20 years, exactly 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2 decades, so I wasn't too far off. It was exactly 20 years to the day. Well, not to the day, but exactly 20 years since the last Blade film, right? And since then, it's been up and down. It's like the Master Universe. Master Universe has been teasing Master Universe fans for decades. Trying to say, hey, we're gonna make a Master Universe film, right? The 1987 film was whatever, right? But you know what? The reality is, people love that film. They just don't want to admit it. But Mattel and all these other studios, Canon's gone, but they're always like dangling this freaking carrot in front of our faces, like, yeah, it's coming. And I think we got really close a year ago, like 2 years ago, and now apparently they have a release date. I'll believe it when I see it. So, but getting back to the actual, Blade film, yeah, like, this has got to be, again, it's in development hell, as you said. This has got to be its 7th or 8th iteration of the script, and the director, and I mean, they had a great actor, and you know what? That's not even talking about the crappy pilot that was released by HBO. What was like 8 years ago?
TV series way back. Yeah,
it was so bad, right?
How many episodes? 6, 7?
No, it didn't even make it past the pilot. It was dead.
Really?
It was dead in the water. Yeah, it was seriously dead in the water. It was so bad. Well, maybe you're right. It made maybe 2 or 3 episodes, but it literally died on its feet. It was so bad. I think the real problem, again, just like anything else, is they don't know how to treat the property. They just don't know what to do with it. Like, vampires are always hot, right?
Yeah,
Zombies, vampires, werewolves. You can't go wrong. How can you screw that up? You cannot screw up vampires, werewolves, zombies, and somehow by some miracle, whoever keeps touching this project continues to screw it up. So I'm not really
I
sure.
think
I'm not really sure if we're going in the right direction, if we're gonna be able to get anywhere with this, but who knows? So
I think what's happening there is kind of that Disney touch. When they first got the property, they realized, yeah, we probably have to make this rated R. We're Disney. We can't make that rated R. Well, what are we going to do? Right. So they probably tried redoing that script over and over again to the point where it's not even Blade anymore. And by the time they probably get a script, their lead actor is probably going to be in a wheelchair by the time that's written.
yeah, I mean, but I think what happened was the first three were R, right? All of them were, right? I'm pretty sure.
It was pretty violent, yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, I know that the first and second ones were definitely R-rated films. I'm pretty sure the Guillermo del Toro's was an R-rated film as well.
Yeah.
They like, again, now with but obviously with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine as a Disney film, right? I think they have a little bit more confidence in releasing something along those lines now, right? And of course, you can't. How can you say that it's a 1.23 billion right now? Did it make any money over the weekend this weekend?
You know what? That's it. Let me check. But keep talking.
I'll check it right now. Wolverine, Deadpool.
Well, the thing about it though is, right, Jay, and Serge touched on it a little bit. How long can Mahershala Ali's patience last? And so, based on what happened in Wolverine and the line where, and I'm going to butcher this line, but basically, spoiler again, he goes, "I'm Blade, I'm the only one who's ever going to be Blade," right? To paraphrase Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Is he the answer, right? Where it's just like tear it down. Don't worry about doing this high concept kind of whatever that is that they're cooking up, because it's almost like I think they're overthinking it. Personally, you nailed it earlier. It's vampires, man. Just action, blood, teeth. Let's go. Gunfire. What more can you ask for?
Exactly.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Serge hit the nail on the head the first time. You know what I mean? If you want to bring it up, it's $1.215 billion. It's quite the number right there. It's absolutely insane, and it is an R-rated film. Right, so worldwide, $1.215 billion.
So let me ask you a question: Is the MCU almost too successful now? And what I mean by that is, their goalposts have moved in the last 14 years, right? 16 years, whenever Iron Man 1 came out, and so box office was whatever you would get, and then after the success of the Avengers films and everything else, it's kind of like, okay, we got to keep hitting home runs. So everything they do now is going to seem almost as though it's a failure, quote unquote, right? I guess, you can even go back to last week's stream when we talked about Acolyte. If you don't get a certain level of viewership or a certain level of box office, it automatically then becomes a failure. And then you almost get creative paralysis because they have to get this right. They can't afford to not get it right.
Yeah, they're always trying to hit that home run, like you said. And I think that's instead of trying to hit that home run, they should really be trying to make a good movie. Should be the focus. Having a good script, having a solid script. Don't pander to any one specific, group. You should be trying to make the character stand out, be true to the character, and do it like how they do it in the comics. There's always, there's something to beat. There's something that they need to conquer within themselves or externally. And then work towards that end goal. It seems so simple, but at the same time they seem to overcomplicate it or no, they try to insert something that doesn't make any sense to that character.
Yeah, no, the biggest problem with the success, as you said, like, it's one of these things where the expectations are way too high, right? And the real problem is that, the real problem is the budgets that are thrown at these films because of the gargantuan successes of films like the Avengers, Endgame, what's Wakanda Forever, you know what I mean, and now Deadpool Wolverine. They are more willing to basically take a director and say, here's $500 million, make a great film. And the problem is, I really do like Ryan Reynolds' approach, where in the first Deadpool, where he's like, I don't want 100, 200 million, 300 million. No, I want a decent budget to get me enough to work with, and then basically, if I need more, I'll come and get it, right? But the integrity was there, the writing was there, the right director was there, right? You could argue that, and here's it's too early to go back to this right now, but I will say that if you look at the example of what happened with Justice League, right? So one director had to leave because of an emergency, right? So they had to bring in another director to finish the project. The other director didn't really believe in the vision that the first director had. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Zack Snyder's vision was not what
was it Whedon?
Yeah, Josh Whedon. What Josh Whedon's vision was, but you know what? The powers that be said, well, Josh Whedon made the first Avengers, right, which was a huge raging success, which arguably started off this $1 billion trend. You know what I mean? So they were like, he can do no wrong. So he takes the film. He says, "Oh, what the hell? It's all dark. Everything's so freaking dark. All the colors are crushed down to like nothing, right? I gotta saturate this thing. I gotta make it like big, beautiful colors. Superman's got to be in blue and red and stand out." But you can tell the footage that he was working with and the way it was actually shot, that didn't work, because again, the grading that they had to do, because the way
It's
Snyder
almost jarring to see that.
Yeah, exactly. The way he shot it was very much like a comic book direction, where really really harsh shadows, you know what I mean, very very subdued look. So he picked it up, he did his thing, and then the people are like, "Nah, it was okay," right? So then all of a sudden you hear these rumors like, well, there's a Snyder cut out there. All the actors are talking about it. Everybody behind the scenes are like, yeah, it exists. And all of us fans are like, what the hell? We want to see this stupid cut, right?
Yeah.
And, because we were all, shuttered, we were all behind closed doors. They couldn't do anything, not really, do any major productions. HBO and DC and Warner Brothers like, hell, let Snyder do his thing. You know what I mean? Give him a couple of $1 million, and let's see what he can pull out of his ass, right? And all of a sudden, bang, here comes this banger, and everybody is like, holy crap. And that's like, it was a miracle project, right? It was one of these things where it would never happen under normal circumstances, but it actually did. And it proved that the correct vision, the correct story, right, the way it was supposed to be, shown through, right? And you didn't need to actually digitally remove somebody's freaking mustache and ruin, that kind of footage.
That looked terrible. Oh my God, it was the worst CG ever.
Absolutely. And then plus spending millions of dollars to get that done, right? Bloating the budget to God knows what, and not being able to recover that on the box office. Absolute ridiculousness. And I see the same thing as just like Surge and just like you say. I see the same thing with Blade. I see that they're throwing money at this with every director they cross paths with, saying, "You've got a vision, okay, let's do this." And they're saying, "Okay, how much do you need? 600, 700 million? Let's do this." And they're like, they're literally overwhelmed, and the pressure to perform for any of these directors must be absolutely insurmountable. You know what I mean? Because you could be blacklisted from Hollywood just like that, right? So it's one of these things where I think that the overall pressures to do this are nuts. And coupling on top of that we do know that if a studio doesn't like what you're doing, they'll remove you and replace you with somebody else, and that poor director has to pick up the pieces and try and do it again. It's crazy. The Hollywood,
figure out what the other guy was thinking.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a crazy one. It's happened with multiple projects already. It happened with Star Wars. It happened with what's it called Captain Marvel. It happened with so many different.
It happened with Ant-Man, because
Yeah.
Ant-Man was supposed to be with Edgar Wright to
Yeah,
start,
absolutely.
and his vision was not was not Disney's vision, and so therefore got replaced.
Yeah.
But is Wesley enough? Right? Is Wesley, like, just think of like Into the Spider-Verse? Is that what it was, or whatever?
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah.
No, not Into the Spider-Verse. Something Home.
No,
The
No Way
last
Home.
Spider-Man
No Way
movie,
Home. No Way Home. Yeah.
right? Seeing those three Spider-Men on screen at the same time was a fan's dream, right?
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is that the direction they should take this Blade movie, or should it just be like a clean break and have, like, come up with an easy script? Doesn't have to be rocket science. Have Mahershala Ali, because I think he would be an amazing Blade. But if you're worried about box office, having Wesley in there as in some capacity or some way,
maybe he's almost a mentor or something to the new Blade, something like that.
Who knows? Son of Blade? I don't know.
Son of a Blade.
You know what? I think it just boils down to the idea that they don't know what they want. I think that the studios have no effing clue what they actually want, and that's the problem. You have all these freaking cooks and not enough freaking chefs. You have all these junior executives who want to prove themselves and want to say, "Oh, I did this project. That's me." You know what I mean? And basically saying, "I made that $1 billion the other year." How then just swinging their privates all over the place, right? I think that's really the problem. I think that the infighting and the politics around this are really what's killing it. And you need the real problem is you need a Josh Whedon. You need a Zack Snyder. You need somebody who basically will go to studios and tell them to F off. You know what I mean? Like, basically say, "This is my film. Go screw yourselves," right? Or you can find somebody else to do it, right? You need somebody who has that kind of clout, that kind of vision, right? And then basically the project will go the way they feel it will. You can't have a brand new director or somebody who's only had a few films under their belt, and basically every time the studio walks in the door, they're like, "Okay, we want this change, we want that change, we want this." There's a bit of give and take, like in every scenario. I'm pretty sure Schneider and Wheaton have had to cave a little bit, but for the most part, you can see that their vision was still there, what they wanted to accomplish.
I'm not even sure that they can get to a director at this point, because they can't get past the script stage.
Yeah, I think they need to
themselves
even take it a step further. Just like how in the comics you have the cosmic universe, you have the superhero universe. There's the horror genre inside of Marvel. Maybe they use Blade to kick off that. They did a little bit of that with that Man-Thing little short that they did before, but they didn't really take it anywhere. I think Blade has that opportunity to expand this whole universe and say, there's something else here. We can build a whole universe around it, or a whole set of movies that kind of interlink on this level. That's when you bring in the Ghost Rider, you bring in more stuff around the really darker stuff around Doctor Strange and things like that.
Yeah, I agree with Serge. It's very difficult right now. They can't even get, as you said, Steve. They can't even get past the initial script phase, right? So how do they expect to find anybody who wants to actually take on this project? It's absolutely crazy. I think we're having a couple of people have chimed in, and there are some really good questions.
Give me a timestamp, and we'll go back to there.
Well, before we do that, let's just say hi to a couple of people here. Since thank you guys for joining us tonight. We started a little late, but thank you so much. Bernie Lomax, good to see you, brother. How you doing tonight? Lord Hoagie, a couple of chimes down. Good to see you. Right there, the next one. Lord Hoagie's previous comment. If you go back up one, that's hilarious. No, the two down. One.
Oh, this one.
No.
That's Bernie Lomax. That picture of Blade from The Mandalorian.
Yeah. That picture of Blade looks like he's wearing a Mandalorian outfit.
The one on the thumbnail.
Yeah, that's the one on the thumbnail. Yeah.
That's actually from Wolverine and Deadpool.
It's got the
Yeah, if you go 2 up, Lord Hoagie has a funny 1003. If you go 1003, Lord Hoagie is a funny. Wait, is that the new bat logo that's going to be on his chest?
Yeah, that's when we
it's-
get to DC Absolute, we'll definitely dig into that because that's causing a little bit of a firestorm. Let's just say that.
It's crazy. Frankie Rivera at 1008. Let's freaking go. Good to see you, Frankie. How you doing, brother? And then Lord Hoagie very the night. It does look interesting. You know, it's just this big gigantic square, right? And somebody has a really good there. The next one, Onryu 83. He says, I heard that's the symbol of Batman is part of an axe that detaches. It's an axe.
And he's not wrong. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Absolutely
Fox
crazy.
Sound says, Jay,
What's going on, brother?
ya?
How you doing tonight?
Lord Hoagie agrees.
Yep.
Now you said it does look like an axe head.
Bernie Lomax has a funny comment. That's pretty cool. 1018. Right below it. No, right above 1018. Or one more up. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a screw up. Twilight, ha ha ha. Actually, you say that, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer, not the movie, but the series went on for several seasons. I think what was it, like 5 seasons? It was a crazy series.
Yeah, it went on for a long time.
Yeah, and it grew up with this audience. It started dealing with like really dark stuff. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, Trinity was not well received.
Blade Trinity, no, it was not. Absolutely, that's the problem, right? We were just talking about it. Jason Electric, Blade 1 was good. 2 and 3 was too scary. Was too scary.
Okay, 2 was pretty gory.
2 was scary, but I didn't think it was too scary. And 3 was it was kind of like a WWE meets meets vampires. It was kind of weird.
You know what though? But go back to the Blade scenario. When they made Blade 1, it was essentially in a vacuum, right? It was like this little throwaway film.
Was the start of them.
It's the genesis of all the comic book movies in the MCU that we're watching right now. But it was this throwaway movie, right? Not a lot of pressure from what, all intents and purposes. But then when you get that kind of success, then 2 gets a little bit more pressure, a little bit more money, a little bit more studio control. 3, we got to have double the explosions. We're going to bring in, Ryan Reynolds and, oh gosh, her name slips me at this point. Jessica Biel, right? And you can just see that if you look at the 3 movies, yes, 3 is slicker than 1, but 1's way better than 3. And so, Jay, you mentioned this earlier. You've got all this money being infused into the project, but you know where the money doesn't go? It doesn't go into the writing. It doesn't go into the bone.
Go everywhere else, except.
Right? It goes everywhere else. We want more pyrotechnic, more SFX, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't go into the thing that makes it work.
Just what you just said there. Sometimes limiting their budget makes them more creative. And I always think about this. The other example I can think of is the Batman animated series. What made it good is that they worked within a whole list of guidelines that Fox TV had for them, saying you can't have this, you can't have that. They figured out ways to make it work without, having people shot and killed and things like that. They worked around the censors, right? And same scenario here. They need something to say, okay, you're not going to get 100 million. You're not going to get 200 million. Here's 60 million. Make it happen. Make it work with what you got. Then go from there. It makes people think a lot more outside the box. They'll figure out ways to make that movie work. And you pointed out before with the first Deadpool movie, he had a small budget and he made that thing work. He didn't have the entire X-Men show up in that movie. He had Colossus and some basically unknown character. What was it, Negasonic? What was the
Negasonic Teen Death?
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah,
he made these small characters. He made them work with what he had, and people loved it, right? So the same thing I think needs to happen with some of these other movies. Say, okay, going forward, these next 5 movies, all your budget is this. Figure it out.
Yeah, I'm going to just post Monty's comment here. What's good, people? I'm anxious to hear someone else's opinion on this subject. Snipes is definitely iconic as Blade. I think Ali is a solid enough actor to do the character justice, though. Yeah, no argument there whatsoever. At all. It's just can they get it figured out? And at this point, I hope they do, because great character. But at this point, I don't think I'm very optimistic with it working.
I guess the question then becomes, if Ali steps away, who would be the next person to take that spot? It's another question.
Wesley.
Return of Wesley.
It'll be Wesley.
We'll have Wesley in a wheelchair in that one for sure.
Hey, CGI body double.
There you go.
Why not? Okay, so let's move off of Wesley, but we're going to stay with the MCU, and then we'll dive into Fan Expo and DC Absolute. Rumors have it that Spider-Man 4 is going to be a multiverse movie. Sony and Disney are apparently having squabbles, slight disagreement on the direction of Spider-Man 4.
So
are we sick of multiverses, or are we ready for what they promised? Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think we're sick of poorly managed multiverses, where they just threw everything in the kitchen sink at us, and then we're expected to say, okay, what just happened? I think the one that kind of I wanted to see better was Doctor Strange, but they wound up killing half of the cast in the movie. And it was like, that didn't really work for me. But I think, there's always stories to be told in the multiverse, but I don't know. Are they expecting to mash both the MCU and then the Sonyverse together? Is that what they're trying to say in this, or what's going on now?
I'm not sure. Like, it's so far away. I think they're supposed to go to film in another year or so. So that's not like a ton of time, especially if you're going to get into a rewrite and change the concept. But then, like, who knows, right? Like, personally, I saw someone mention this on, I think it might have been Threads, where it was like, can we get street level Spidey, bring in Kingpin, have Daredevil be your cameo, Punisher be your cameo, see that side of Spider-Man. I don't think he has to be tied to the Avengers, especially with Tony gone. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I keep finding that Sony really is screwing up all the supporting cast to Spider-Man in a big way. It's like, you've seen all the memes and things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, looking at like Craven the Hunter right now, I'm not sold on that movie. Have you guys seen or your I don't know, Sergio, are your kids playing the Spider-Man games right now? Because the way they handled Craven in the games, I thought was more akin to a good use of Craven.
My son's played the first one. He hasn't done the second one yet. So
the second one is dark. The second one is dark as hell. Like between the symbiote storyline and the Craven storyline, it is freaking dark. They go into different directions on the game. And I don't know if they're gonna I don't know if they're gonna use the same storyline in the movies. But for now, it just seems a little bit. I don't know. Like, first of all, they've already used this actor. You know what I mean? He's already been Quicksilver in the MCU. So it's one of these things. Like, it's exactly the way I look at it now as it is right now. I look at it like, okay, so actors can come back if they already died. You know what I mean? Like Robert Downey
Welcome to comic books, Jay.
I just say no. I mean, like, I understand that, but for the longest time, they weren't doing that.
No, not at all.
For the longest time, you were dead. You were freaking dead. You know what I mean? Like they killed off Whiplash. They killed off they killed off so many so many other guys, right? Ironmonger and all these other great characters who should have actually stuck around for a little bit, right?
Yes,
They killed them
that
all
was
off.
the problem. I agree with you on that because
Yeah.
I felt that the solution to every story was killing the villain, and like
Yeah.
really, like you got some great characters there, and they're dead. Like, come on.
Recurring battles, man. Like, throw them in jail. Do something that makes more sense, right? Because you need that constant threat, right? Like, what are superheroes for if they're not under constant threat, right?
Yeah.
It's escalation, right? That's what makes a great hero and villain, counterpart. And again, comics, nobody ever really dies; they just get recycled somehow, right? And now the multiverse is what solves this whole situation because anybody from any universe, we can pull him from here, we can pull him from there, right? And that exactly was proven in No Way Home, right? No Way Home, that's exactly what it was. Like we saw all three Spider-Man, we saw every single villain from every single, well, not every single one, but we saw all the major villains from every single movie, and it was fun. It was a really fun film, and we got to see those interactions that we were always hoping for. And then the animated series, it's going directions that look great. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any one way to solve this problem. I think what they really need to do is, and I dare say this, I think they should, as you said earlier, Steve, they should drop the idea of $1 billion movies. I don't think it's possible for $1 billion movies to exist. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they had no faith in Deadpool Wolverine. I think that they literally were like, whatever, man. Like this is their last hurrah. We got nothing else going on. Give it to Ryan Reynolds. He's been begging for this film for the last 5 years, 6 years, whatever it was. And hell, Hugh Jackman. This is the only time. Like he's not going to be able to get this jacked ever again because it was hard for him this time, right? He was like I say this a lot in Days of Futures Past. If you look at Jackman when he did that scene on the waterbed, he could barely move. He was on so many diuretics. He was dry as hell that day. He had no water in him whatsoever because you could see all the vasculars. You know what I mean? Like his arm was so dehydrated. As he got up, you could actually hear he's like, oh, that's not acting. That was actually him. He was seriously about to collapse because he's like putting on his. He could barely put on his pants, and he's literally like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like he literally is about to collapse. He's like those bodybuilders on stage when they're posing. You know what I mean? They literally are dry as hell. They almost literally have heart attacks after they got off the stage because they've been flexing and they've been doing this and that, just killing themselves. And that's exactly what Hugh Jackman was doing in that scene. He was literally dying. So
the body transformation, Jay, you're absolutely on point. From I guess X-Men in 2000 or whatever, to especially when he was in the Wolverine or Days of Future Past, his body transformation was ridiculous. Insane. Absolutely, he basically became a comic book character.
Yeah, he did. He is on screen anyway. Between him and Hemsworth, those two are crazy. I remember Huey, who might join us later. I remember he was like complaining. He's like, "Oh, Chris Hemsworth in the first Thor." He was like, "He's not big enough." Then you get to freaking Love and Thunder. What the hell, man? He was massive in Love and Thunder. He was like a different person. I was like, "Who is this guy?" And you look at him when he walks around off season. He's like a surfer. He's like a pin thin dude, man. He's like a basketball player. He is not supposed to be that size. It's the same thing with Chris Evans. Chris Evans stopped because like I can't keep doing this to myself. Like I'm like every time I have to do this, it kills me, right? Because again, like
the caloric intake, the working out,
the regimen you have to be under, the kind of discipline, the mental discipline alone that you have because you have to watch every calorie. You have to freaking do this and you got to get size, but you also got to get cut at the same time. It's hard, man. It's hard.
Oh,
right? It's absolutely crazy.
Not to cut you off, but I want to just go to Night One. Great comment. Doing a Marvel special like Werewolf by Night with Wesley Snipes' version of Blade would be a viable idea.
There you go.
Yeah,
I would totally go for that.
Use Wesley to kind of tie it all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? Experiments. Like these cool little ideas. Sometimes you know what? Here's the thing. I wonder if television is better. Back when Blade was being shopped around, I don't think they really understood what they were doing with it for TV. Now, with all these Disney Plus things and all the money they're spending with these things, maybe Blade is better as an actual constant television show where they have a really big baddie, who's basically sucking the whole town dry. And or maybe it's maybe they can get to like some of the more demonic stuff that comes around, or maybe, and you can even get some team ups going, like Black Cat and things like that. I think there's a lot of room for more expansion with a series like Blade, especially now that we have all these opportunities. But who knows? And of course, they're talking about how Black Cat's going to be cast pretty soon. I think they already have an actress in mind. So yeah, I mean, the opportunities are there.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of, and we'll slide off of this topic in a second, but I just want to show one thing. Let me see here. Going back to our love of
Yeah.
Okay.
So that actually ties in to that moment where Deadpool actually said at the end of the movie, he goes, there are a couple of heroes who are in the
Constance or something like that.
No, I think he said what do they call it, the trash bin or whatever?
Yes,
yeah. And he said they've been forgotten. Maybe there's something you can do to help them. So, and the thing we saw Laura come back, right? She was at the end of the movie. So I'd like to think in whatever, and that's probably canonical if they start making it that way. I'd like to think that they open up the portal so that the four of them could get out, which would explain how we can get Wesley back, right? You know what I mean? Like that
Yes.
kind of, again, anything's possible at this stage because we didn't actually see anybody die in that scene, right? So it's
no. I think Human Torch is the only one that was definitively filleted.
Yes, and for obvious reasons.
Yes, yeah. The little potting
Sure Chris Evans was probably happy to see that.
Probably. I got one more thing to share with you, and then we'll go to some. We will go to some comments.
Yep.
So that looks like the Thing is going to be quite practical when all is said and done.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some kind of CG overlay.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the actual mouth movement and facial. Although Star Wars has been doing it pretty well now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Garz. I think Zeb Garzab. I think Zeb was actually CG for the most part, but I think the rest of them right now, ever since the Mandalorian really started taking off, I think most of them have been practical effects. So we'll see how that works. I mean, like, I've always enjoyed practical. Even like you look at movies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The first one was great. All the subsequent ones, they couldn't get it right. I don't know what they were doing with those stupid animatronics after the first one, but the first
again,
film,
I think that's another scenario where they had a small budget, they made it work.
Exactly, 100%. And a vision, right? And I think that we're just circling around the exact same, scenarios.
There's a bit of a theme happening here.
Absolutely, 100%. But yeah, we got some great questions going on. Great comments happening right now.
Let's go to Bernie. The question is, how many people want another Avengers movie or another FF movie to speak? It's a good question. It seems that people are hungry for it, especially, but I think, and this is just my take, I think they're hungry for Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man to interact with Reed Richards's Mr. Fantastic, with somebody, whoever, like, I guess it'll be Pedro Pascal, but I think they're looking for that. If you're going to keep doing these movies in silos, we'll see what happens after Avengers Doomsday. Then it'll be fresh. But I saw a comment later, a little bit further on down, where, and I've argued this as well too, and it probably goes counter, especially for the things that we do here at Comix Asylum. Is it so bad to have a break from these films? Like, you can't have cheesecake every day if you love cheesecake.
Yeah,
says you.
And probably my doctor too.
I was gonna say, the Fantastic Four movie.
I disagree. I disagree with that statement.
Pedro Pascal, he's a great actor, but they throw him into everything.
Yeah,
he's
they can't.
becoming a Robert Downey Jr.
He did an amazing job in as far as video game adaptations goes. He did a great job in The Last of Us. Yeah. The Last of Us was amazing. Like, seriously, like I was thinking like this. I don't know if that casting works, and it worked. It worked great. I was actually really surprised. Ellie was a great choice too.
Is that a Disney issue though? Because when you think about it, they have their stable of actors, and they're not really straying too far from them. Like, they have who they have.
Yeah, and they don't seem to be really thinking outside
about it. Right, because like Pedro is the Mandalorian, and now he's Mr. Fantastic, right? Like, everybody, like, people just move from one project to another, as opposed to, like, there's a lot of people, man. Like, there are a lot of actors that aren't getting work. And also, who's the guy in Twister? In the latest Twister movie, he was in Top Gun. His name slips me.
I know who you mean.
Right? But think of it. But think about it though. He's been around forever, and now that he's hot, he's going to be in everything, right? Is it like? But he's someone that they could have used beforehand. Yeah. But it's almost like we need the different commodity. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And he was also in Sydney Sweeney with a rom-com.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. Like, once you hit a wave, right? And the like, people love the bad boys, right? And that's why he got noticed really quickly in Top Gun, right? Mm-hmm. Because again, as Hangman, he was able to just unleash himself, right? Yeah. And in Twister, he played very much the same character. He's like a maverick. Okay, that was a wrong choice of word, but he's like a loose cannon is what I was going to say. Right. Crazy kind of guy, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Disney's staple. It's interesting because, again, Disney likes to raise their own actors too, right? Mm-hmm. From the ground up, and we've seen it since Christina Aguilera and all these other child prodigies, right? So they keep them in the system. Basically, they keep them in the system. They never age out. You know what I mean? They just keep the loyalty is always there. Is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah, for sure. So let me see if there are any cool comments that we can go back to. Night One says, I still have my DVD copy of Blade Trinity with the micro or the mini comic included. I missed the mini comic. I don't even know what that would look like. Yeah. And then Damon Sailor says, hello, Mega. I hope they do the Blade movie and figures. Be some potential to do some good figures.
They actually just released a really cool figure for Blade, and it's patterned after I don't know, a more realistic, maybe even a take on Wesley Snipes for a little. You can see a little bit of Wesley Snipes in the last Blade figure, which was really cool, long trench coat and everything like that. But yeah, no, I would love to see more figures come out of this. But it really is the question. Are they even gonna get there? Because it just seems like it is once again back in development hell. So people are people want a good Blade movie. They do, right? Mm-hmm. They need to pull up their pants and figure this out. But I think that, especially because of this conversation, I think it is one of these things where they just got to go back to fucking basics. Drop the $1 billion concept, forget it. It's not going to work. The more you shoot for the I was saying it earlier. They didn't believe in Wolverine Deadpool. It made $1 billion, right? Like, what was it that MJ said? Shoot for, keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. Well, guess what? They were not disappointed with Deadpool and Wolverine, were they? Right? It freaking surpassed their expectations tenfold. 20, actually more like 100-fold. right? So there you go. I think that they just need to reset and say, all right, here's a movie. Let's let a young director take it. Hopefully, he'll do a great job and see where it goes. But we're not even going to get there without a damn script, right? So there's the biggest hurdle that we have to cross right now.
Yeah, and studio interference is real. So that's just something that you have to be aware of. We might have had some great ideas. They've just been torched. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to slide into some comic books, but I want to acknowledge the birthday of an absolute giant in the industry. King Kirby, Jack Kirby's birthday, 107, I think.
Absolutely.
Hail to the king.
Absolutely. So
100%.
I'm going to show an image that his granddaughter posted on Twitter in honor of his birthday. X, sorry. And just the one thing about, let me see here. I just want to make sure that I'm going to boost this up as much as I can. Let's see if I can get the detail. Let me just slide up. There we go. Like, just look at the detail in this image. And when there's a picture of his desk, and I'll show that later. And you think of what came out of his brain, that hand, and on that desk, it is phenomenal. And and he was not only just prolific in terms of talent, but also speed. And Serge, as an artist yourself, you talk about getting tired after like serious output. You can only imagine, the kind of energy that goes into this thing to produce something like this.
Yeah. He was also known for doing like 3-4 pages a day type of thing.
Yeah, he's great.
We struggled to get one.
Mm-hmm. Like, just unbelievable how good he was.
His output was like, nobody can meet the output of Jack Kirby.
No, impossible.
No, the king, absolutely the king. Yep. All the stuff we're talking about, a great deal of it is due and in part to his skill set. And I'm gonna see here if I can. I'm just gonna scroll up. There was a picture of his desk. Well, that's him working at this desk, and just look at how rustic it looks. Like, it's unbelievable. And here's some of his New Gods work. Just the thing that always amazed me was his energy.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
Every page, every panel, how even, if there's just a guy walking into a room, there was some level of energy to it, be it a different angle, or, the person doing something, open that door, or whatever the case might be, right? It would be like, just like that, where there'd be like a hand like this in the shot. He would do things to entice people to stay focused, stay looking at that panel just that little bit longer.
It's hard to sleep on Jack Kirby's work. He kind of forces you to take notice, for sure. And speaking of that, let's take a look at Absolute DC. So basically what's happening is DC is once again rebooting their universe. And so Batman, it's going to be, I guess, across the line of characters, but Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman have been redesigned and reimagined. And to say that the Batman logo, not the logo, but just the Batman redesign,
design is just
it's something else. It's something else. So let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? Are those gauntlets? Is that what that is?
So that's his cape.
Right? I know it's his cape, but what is he doing with it? Like,
I think he's just got them.
Is it like wrapped around his arms?
Wrapped around his arms.
Okay.
But
he's using them as whips, or
he is absolutely massive.
He is. He's huge.
Right.
He reminds me. He reminds me of
leg day.
yeah, but I mean,
No.
he's still. You know what? when you think about it, the bat symbol and the way he looks is very similar to Batman Returns. I mean, like especially the bat
Mhm.
symbol itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That
the
is
symbol,
a good
yeah.
observation.
It's like it's like Frank Miller inspired, if you will.
Oh, definitely.
This, I'm
And
trying
then
to
this-
figure out what she's riding there. Is it an actual horse, or is it?
I think it's a horse.
some sort of Asgardian Xenomorph. And then there's Superman, kind of emo-ish looking. Some of the covers are absolutely fantastic. This is a Jim Lee rendition, and here is his axe. So you can see
So
like
it's
the little,
chest.
all the checkers there. That is some sort of a magnetic plate that keeps the axe
Ah,
in place,
so it is a freaking axe. Dear God.
right?
I don't know if Frankie
Still not
actually
sold on
had
that.
prior knowledge to that, but yeah.
I love this comment. Bat lumberjack.
Is that a spine? What is that?
That's part of the cape.
That's part of the cape.
That's part
So
of the
it's like
cape.
it's like a bony. So it's very much like bones, like cartilage, just like a real
like
bat.
real bat wings. Yeah.
And
Interesting.
obviously, every artist is going to have their slight tweak on it. Because to be honest with you, I'm not sure they're fully set on what exactly the design is. You know, like back in the 90s, Iron Man's armor was always slightly different based on who was drawing it.
Who was drawing it?
Yeah.
Sure.
So this is Mitch Garrett's cover. It's a nice one. And then you've got this one, which kind of has that. This is by Wes Craig, but also has that feel of Frank Miller, especially like the DK2 version of his artwork, right? But notice no spikes here versus the spikes, or maybe this is his bat armor or some sort of anime inspired variation of it.
Actually, on that one there, with the yellow and black there, I'm getting a little bit of Walt Simonson as well.
Yeah, there's that as well too, for sure. And these characters are not your regular Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, Diana Prince. These are new iterations of these characters.
One thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have commented, is that his head is a little bit small compared to the rest of the body. Could it be that this is an actual armor of some kind?
It could be.
Yeah, but I think that's also. I think it's very possible, 100%. But I also think that's actually the style, just to make him look even bigger. I mean, certain artists, as you said, the way they draw them, it's all a stylistic type of impression, I think. But once we get to read the book, I think we'll find out exactly what the depictions are. But yeah,
I mean, say what has started this reboot again, or is it because of what comes out of?
So let's take a look at it. So announced in July and debuting this fall, DC Comics has a new absolute universe of comic books hitting shelves at your local comic book store in October, November, and beyond. Today, this is from a few weeks ago, DC revealed the main covers for Absolute Batman 1, Absolute Wonder Woman 1, and Absolute Superman 1, and with their new logos and shared variants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, so you can see the new logo. So that's the new Wonder Woman. We've seen the new Superman. I'll show you the Wonder Woman covers. There's one by, I think it's Dan Panosian, that is an absolute banger in terms of covers. So this is her new armor, and she's got some sort of tattoo on her right arm. And anyone who plays video games or loves anime, the huge sword, it's right up your alley.
It's kind of Final Fantasy feel right there.
Absolutely Final Fantasy.
Now it's more Berserk, but I get you.
Yeah, Berserk as well too.
Berserk.
And so there's another beautiful cover. I think this is Wes Craig. Wes Craig has that Walt Simonson, Frank Miller kind of vibe to it, to his work, and this is Dan Panosian's cover.
Wow,
absolute stunner.
Yeah, absolutely. The body art is interesting. Like I'm kind of wondering where that's coming from.
Exactly. I'm not sure. It almost like I don't want to like go too sideways, but it almost looks like it could be Samoan-esque inspired. It's
I was
very
gonna say, it
interesting.
looks like they're moving away from that Amazon
Yeah,
Greek mythology.
yeah, it does seem that way. Although the Greeks did have certain tattoos that had similar similar striping and similar markings, and this is the Superman stuff as well too. Not sure about the yellow boots, but hey,
Yeah, it's got that. You got flames like Optimus.
a little bit. And this is Wes Craig again. This almost looks like Superboy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought it was a really young Superman there, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a boyish.
And these are the logos. So the new Batman logo. This is going to cause people.
I'm already like, oh,
Yeah,
I
am I'm triggered.
right
I'm
here.
triggered. I am so.
This is going to cause some. This is going to cause some discussion for sure.
Like,
yeah,
if they were going for an axe, the Batman movie logo would make a perfect axe. You know what I mean?
it's got the curves. It's got the natural curves in it. Yeah.
It's like a block of.
Why do this?
I know. It's just such a weird choice. Aesthetically, it's so odd.
You know what? It almost feels like I could make my breakfast on that. Like I could just seriously some eggs and some bacon.
That griddle going.
Yeah, man. Griddle. That's the bat griddle. Interesting.
He's a fucking lumberjack, man. Lumberjack. I totally agree with that statement. Lumberjack.
Yeah. Wonder Woman is a pretty generic kind of look to it. It's kind of like I really love her logo normally, like as well as her breastplate. It's kind of hard to improve on that, and then Superman's is, just it is what it is. But I will say
they're trying to take the influence from the upcoming movie as well. Kind of,
a little bit of Kingdom Come, a little bit of everything, but I don't know. There's a balance. You need some balance in there. I mean, just as far as graphic design wise, you're like, wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
It's like it's like cheese. It's like you're cutting pieces of cheese out. I don't know.
Lord Hoagie has an interesting one. Sometimes it seems like they don't actually want to sell comic books.
DC. I don't know. It's
oh my god, that's hilarious. I love that comment. That comment's awesome.
And then Bernie, because that would almost work. A metal axe on your chest, arms would be cut up all over. You know what? That's a good question. How does he get it onto the pole? Does he just like stick it up into his chest and then it detaches, or does he have to take it off and then put it on? And if it's an axe, is he gonna like? Yeah, it's awkward. I could see Jay looking at thinking like,
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes he'll do one of these, right, where he'll throw two batarangs, and that comment's perfect. You get this close enough, also check. You cut on the inner side of both arms.
Although he's got like a 98-inch chest, so
that's he might not be able to do that.
He might not be able to get that close.
He might not be able to do that.
Yeah.
Praying gets really difficult after a while.
Walt Simonson, we should be so lucky.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Walt's one of the greats. But Bernie comes in with small head because of all the venom juice he stole from Bane.
No, you know what? He's absolutely right. That's exactly the way Bane was always drawn with a really small head.
Small head.
That's absolutely he solved it. He solved the mystery. That is it. He's juicing up on venom.
So he's got venom. He's got bat venom.
That's interesting.
I agree.
It is like Marvel's Ultimate Universe. Yes.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, I heard something to that degree that they're saying this is going to be their Ultimate Universe. Yeah, that's right.
But
it'll run
Serge,
in parallel to the regular.
Yeah, but Serge, correct me. This is like their 5th reboot.
It doesn't need to be done. These guys, they've overdone it with all these reboots to the point. Crisis on Infinite Earth. It needed to be done to clean up stuff. But then they spend the next every 6-7 years another reboot. It's like you know how many people would be pissed off at the planet Earth? It's like, don't stop pressing that button. Stop pressing it.
Yeah, every time they ask Flash to run and reset something.
Yeah,
Somebody,
every single time, right?
Can you imagine though?
Yeah,
But like, if you're not part of their kind of like scope, there's someone who's dying over and over and over again because that's their fate due to the Flash.
Yeah. But you know what I was thinking as well now is that I would create my own Crisis on Multiple Earths type of thing, where the other planets come to Earth to say, "Screw you guys! You stop pressing that button."
Well, that's
That'd
true.
be it.
That's true because
that's my trademark. DC, don't even try.
That's a good point, Serge. I never thought about this from a storytelling aspect.
Because it's always on Earth, right? Everybody else is just doing their day.
But when you reset it, you're resetting a multiverse.
Every planet in this universe, every being, all of a sudden getting reset over and over. There's going to be people that are going to be like, "What the hell's going on?"
Well, but would they? I mean, like they don't even realize what happened.
Well, I would say cosmic beings on that level.
Yeah, no, but I think that's and you know what the Marvel tried to answer that with the TVA, right? That was their whole that was their whole shtick with that, right? That there is a an overseer type of organ. In this case, it's an organization, right? But you know, I think that opens up a storyline like that too, right? Star Trek had it with the temporal police. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things to be said about that. But then again, you know what? It's one of these crazy things where if we truly believe that time is immutable, right, according to the Marvel thing, right? Because you can't actually reset your past. According to them, you can't reset your past. What you've actually done,
you branch. You
created a secular timeline, right? So, is it really affecting anybody at that point? Because you can't actually affect the timeline you just made, right?
You're just making yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Although, and I remember because I used to watch that Arrowverse quite a bit, and I remember after Barry went back and changed the timeline, Diggle's kid, I think, went from being a son to being a daughter, and he was absolutely like pissed because not that the gender mattered, but that he changed what was.
Yeah, his
right?
relationship.
And so when you think about it,
he missed all those years.
Yeah, and it's also this too, right? Does it then really matter what happens? If you're always going to reset something, are there any real consequences if time travel is always your get out of jail card?
Yeah, but you're not really getting out of jail. Something is always going to change, right? But what the whenever we see the timelines like Crisis on Infinite Earth, what they're trying to say there is that anything's better than this, right? Because the world has come to an end kind of situation, right? So I don't know. It's always that moral compass, right? Like when do you decide that this world is perfect the way it is, right? It's just that sandbox that writers have to play with, and are you really doing anything different?
We'll see. Well, getting back to DC's, I think it's the Absolute Power. It's a miniseries that's leading into the Absolute universe.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, I'm enjoying the first 2 issues. I'm looking forward to the next one. I think it's only 4 or 5 in the run. That's going to set up everything. And Dan Mora is drawing it. I think Mark Waid is the scribe, and it's fantastic. It's a great read. So it'll be interesting to see where this stuff leads into. And I'm not usually big on the DC reboots, but I'll check these out mainly because I want to see how Batman's going to use that axe.
I agree. I want to see how that plays out too.
So question. I watched Alien Romulus, and I liked it.
I've heard good things.
It was interesting. They really do a good job of kind of staying in the lore, in the Alien lore. And spoilers for anyone who has seen it, but there is a legacy character who shows up.
Who has seen it or who hasn't seen it?
Who hasn't seen it? Sorry. Yes. Good thing you got me there. Who hasn't seen it? There's a legacy character that shows up, and
The cat.
no, but the character, the original actor, is no longer with us. So the producers got permission from the family to use the likeness for this character.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on using CGI to bring back dead actors in new movies?
You're opening up a can of worms there.
Yes.
I think it's going to eventually happen. Like it's already, as you just pointed out, it's already happening. And I think more and more, you're going to see studios say, why pay for somebody that's, going to give me a hassle? I have to go through contracts and this and that, when I can just go back into the archive and say, oh, I like that guy. Let's put him in this movie, even though he's been dead for 30 years.
You'd need permission from their likeness. And I know that's kind of what, in a way, that's what the SAG strike was about. Like extras wouldn't have their likeness, because I think they were trying to get copies of them, that so that you could use them as background players still. Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why they were on strike, because think about it. You go in and you're a day player as an extra for one day. They then take a copy of you, and they don't need to call you back. Right. But that aside, imagine, and I brought this up a while ago in an article on Comix Asylum when we were still doing the magazine. And it was around the time where Carrie Fisher had passed, and they used her daughter for Rogue One. Right? And the technology was not as good then.
Not quite.
And it wasn't quite there. And they were using it more for de-aging. So like Jeff Bridges for Tron. I even think they used some of it for the actress that played Tony Soprano's mom, because I think she passed away before the series ended. And they were able to map her face onto another actress. And so there were lines there where she wasn't necessarily present. But then I extrapolated, are we going to get to a point where, I don't know, the estate for Sean Connery says, yes, you can use our grandfather's likeness and voice, and then you get a James Bond movie set in the 60s and Sean Connery is the lead? Because they like, when you think about it, based on what they've done, they could do what they did with Luke in The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, but Luke is still alive.
I understand that, right? But think of all the footage they have, and if there's any sort of signage of, yes, you can use my likeness, with the technology that they have now, are we going to just get a body double and then you just map the face on? Because you do it for stunts, essentially, right?
I don't think you can avoid it. It's going to happen regardless. With all the AI crap that's out there, we're already seeing it for the art side of things. Movies are going to be no different, right?
Right.
Yeah, we are already seeing it with the thing. Talking from an IT background, AI is going to be the next big wave in all our lives. Doesn't matter what you do. Every device is going to have some level of this AI tools. And then, we're already seeing it with movies. We can do it. We can do quite a lot just with our own phones now, right?
Yeah.
I don't see us getting around it. It's a matter of some of these legalities that need to be figured out. Guess what? That's mostly North America that they put up all of this stuff. Other countries, they're not going to care. They're gonna work right around this stuff. They're gonna leap ahead of the U.S. and Canada and this kind of stuff. I think. Just China, I'm sure, has done it a million times over already. India, you've seen a million Bollywood movies, and they're already doing all of this stuff already. It's not a matter of if; it'll be a matter of when. In North America, the rest of the world already moving ahead with that.
Yeah, but I think the actual question is, will anyone? And I think that's actually why SAG fought so hard for that, though, right? You know what I mean? Like the ability to opt out, and I think that's actually what it'll end up being. There'll probably be something in your SAG card later down the road where it says, in the future, do you want them to use your likeness in movies? And it'll be written there, and it'll say, no, my family has not. My family does not have the permission to sign away my likeness. Something along those lines, right? I think that's gonna, like, laws are gonna come in place where that can't happen.
But you're
Because
going to
if
risk losing out on a pay for sure.
yeah, but who's
There's going
getting
to be
paid?
somebody else that'll say no problem.
It'll be the estate. The estate.
I
So the
know, that's
family
what I'm
will.
saying.
The family will get it. The family will get the money.
Well, that's if, like, for instance, look at Orson Welles,
That's
right? When he
if they
died.
agree to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
of course. But I'm only talking about if they go and make a deal with the estate of someone, or it's already written into their contract before they pass the specific actor.
That's exactly what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And they basically have to opt in
Mhm.
to usage of it's kind of like an artist, right? Right now, if you get into a contract where you paint something or you illustrate something, you can literally have a clause where it says you cannot use this outside of this requirement, right? And anything outside of that has to be renegotiated. You know what I mean? And then basically you can say afterwards, my family has sole rights to this after I die. That kind of situation. You can even say, oh, you know what? It's what's it called? It's the hell are they called again? Copyright? What is it? Public domain. This becomes public domain after I die. That's a possibility too, right? We're going through a very strange time in our existence right now, because again, technology is just going so fast, so quickly. It's hard for any of us to catch up. So, but I totally agree. I think that Serge is right. Like, other countries are going to do whatever the fuck they want, right? Whereas we
Yeah,
are more moral in that sense. But I think the root question is, do we agree with this? Serge?
There's also this too, but I'm going to bring in something which is, what would the audience's reaction be? Because let's be honest, and we're seeing it with casting now, and I just saw a clip for an Indiana Jones video game, right? Yep. Are audiences ready, especially this generation of audiences who have basically grown up with their version of an actor doing a certain role, and to the point where can't even recast them? Is there going to be an appetite for, I want so and so X as whatever, but we still want those movies because those characters make money, right? Like, there's a reason why DC only basically does Batman books, because they're the ones that bring in the cash. Is that really going to be part of what drives it? Because in the end, it's all about money. This is all, everything we're talking about is what's going to bring in cash.
Here's what I want to say about that, though. Sorry, do you have anything to add because I'm going to go on a bit of a tirade here?
Yeah, man, do it.
Bring a tirade on AI, if you'd like to hear that one too. In general.
All right. So you want to play rock paper scissors? What are we going to do?
So Jay, go.
All right. So here's the thing. James Bond had what, 7 actors play James Bond?
Something like that.
You know what I mean? Michael Gambon played Dumbledore after the other actor died. You know what I mean? What's it called? Rhodey has been portrayed by two different actors. Here's the thing: I like all their performances. Right? Yes. I think that each actor brings a certain level of nuance to another character. Right? And I think that there's something special about that. So, in my opinion, I think we should allow for creativity to blossom. You know what I mean? I don't think AI will ever actually be able to replace a human being. There's always a tell. There's always a way to figure out whether or not AI is working there. There's always a way to figure out, because there's just something Have you ever noticed that every fucking video clip that's ever been made by AI looks like it's from the 40s?
and everyone's shiny. Everyone's rubbery and shiny.
It looks too pristine.
It's just weird, right?
Clean.
It's not there. It's never going to get there. At least not within our lifetimes. Okay, it's smart, but it's still stupid. Okay, it's still a dumb machine.
Yeah. Here's a great comment, and then we'll get Surge's rant on this. We can't live permanently in nostalgia.
Very, very well said.
That's well said. As a retro toy man, he can disagree on that.
I disagree.
Jay politely disagrees with that comment.
I don't politely. I absolutely.
But I understand.
I abhorrently disagree. Who was that? Who said that?
That was, I think, Dynamo
Dave.
Yeah.
Dynamo Dave. You and I are gonna have beef, man. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding.
Let's go to Derek Kuto. Hey, what's up, Nigga J in chat? Brought my server number 4.
What the hell, Derek?
To the comic doctor in Oshawa. Went from what? Hey, props.
Nice.
Went from a 7.5 to a 9.6. Let me tell you, that is one of the all-time best covers too.
That's crazy.
Silver Surfer number 4. Oh,
is that with the Thor and Silver Surfer?
And Silver Surfer. One of the all-time covers,
classic.
Man. Classic.
Awesome.
Was that Romita? Who did that?
John Buscema. Yeah. So agreeing, toy binging, agreeing to use your likeness after you pass sounds like a donor card for SAG actors.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's an interesting way to say it. Yeah, that makes sense.
That is your face is an organ, man. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sign the back of your SAG card, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nolan says, actually, Bernie Lomax, he had mentioned it's like what's happening at Walt Disneyland and World right now. They plan on bringing him back. You know who I'm talking about, the man. I'm going to assume that it's Walt.
I'm going to assume the same thing.
Be an animatronic, right?
Well, I remember when my daughter was younger, she was a big fan of Hatsune Miku, which is basically a pop star in Japan who is I guess a digital anime character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a living avatar almost.
A digital. It's a digital person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anything is possible, but you know what? I hear you when you say that the technology is not there and it's always going to look weird. But like, I remember when the Final Fantasy movie came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right. And we were like, oh, that's amazing. This blew our mind. I remember when T2 came out and we were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you look at that stuff now and you're like, it's dated. The technology changes. This technology will get to a point, maybe not in our lifetime, might be in our kids' lifetime, where I'm not saying you're going to be like Riker going into the holodeck, and never follow Riker into the holodeck. That's just my piece of advice.
It's a very dangerous situation to be in there with Commander Riker.
With
you
Riker,
have no idea what he's going to do to you.
No, absolutely. But I can see that at some point it's going to be not indistinguishable, but where it's going to be like, when you look at 8K or 4K TV and you're like, this looks really good. This looks pretty good.
I'm gonna go ahead and accept that as an answer. But what I will say is this: if you leave AI to its own devices, it's gonna screw up.
It's the end of the world.
Okay. If you look at it this way. If you basically told AI, hey, think about something, it can't. You literally have to sit there, right, and type in, and it's crazy because you have to be as descriptive as humanly possible to actually get a decent looking photo, right, or a decent looking video. So it's always going to be this interaction between human and machine because the machine isn't a human being. It's not alive. It doesn't understand. It has no sentience yet, right? God, I hope it never does. But it's this thing where you still have to train it, right? Every experience that a machine has is because of us, right? Yeah. We are the reasons why these machines exist. We're the reasons why, it's not even automatic. You still have to tell it do it, because if you don't tell it to do it, it's not going to do it. It's going to sit there until you come home and basically, hey, I want to go surfing now. Okay, I'll find you the best thing, right? I want you to make this video of the. All right, does it have 6 fingers or 10 fingers? You know what I mean? Like, you have to tell it, right? So at the end of the day, it's still going to be this interaction with human beings in order to make something beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Dynamo Dave, he's got a good one. No beef, Jay. Just saying you can love what you love, but also leave room to find new stuff to love.
I was just kidding, bro. I was just kidding.
Good balance.
I live in both worlds at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I'm just going poor with my nostalgia. I think that's. I think I'm going broke with my nostalgia. I think that's the problem. I can't live in it because I'm going broke.
That's all good. And then we've got James Morrison. Welcome to the stream. Let's all count our blessings. We grew up with media when it was practical and real. Well, that's a great point, because physical media, the absence of physical media is a thing, right? So you can buy something, leave it on Apple Plus or whatever, and if they decide to remove it, you don't have it anymore.
Yeah,
it's become a major problem. Apple Plus,
physical media is actually making a comeback now too because of that.
Yeah. No,
people
exactly.
are realizing, I can't find this movie anymore. I'm gonna have to physically buy it because nobody's carrying it, or I have to pay $30-$40 a month for a service for one movie. Why would I do that?
Surge is absolutely right.
Preach, Surge. Yeah. Preach.
There's
like paying for 4 services.
NFTs, right? NFTs tried to become a thing, right? I was like, when I saw, and it might still become a thing. I'm not gonna discount that. But I remember the first time I heard of an NFT. One of the biggest ones I heard of was McFarlane's Batman becoming an NFT, and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And one of my friends, he actually bought one, and I looked at him like, "What is this supposed to do?" And he goes, "Oh, it's great! It's augmented reality. Check it out." And he takes his phone, he puts Batman in the middle of his living room, standing in, and he's like a statue. And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not there." And he's like, "No, but he is, because he's digital. He's sitting." And like, "How much do you pay for that thing?" And he goes, "That's $2,000." I was like, "What?" And then I was like, "Holy crap!" And he goes, "Yeah, but it's worth $10,000 now." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Holy crap! That's quite the investment." A half a year later, it was worth $60, and he didn't sell it in time. So I mean,
got to read the market. Always got to read the market.
You got to be fast, actually. In my opinion, just the moment it doubles, just get rid of it.
Yeah, the old stock rule is if you make 25%, get rid of it.
Yep. My little mini rant on AI. I think the focus for AI is kind of misdirected. Instead of making it, focus on the side of media, drawing, painting, all of that kind of stuff, why not have it? I want AI to, do my laundry. I want it to clean my house. I want it, do those menial tasks, answer my emails. Let me enjoy it. Let me go draw. Let me go paint. Let me enjoy my life versus, stressing.
No, 100%. Here's the problem with that: your house will be destroyed trying to clean it. The Roomba can barely do its own job. You know what I mean? Like it can. It's like 80. I think it's 80% efficient. You know, and it leaves that 20%. That 20% is the part that bugs you. I watched my cousin literally spend half a day watching the stupid Roomba figure out where it missed, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm hoping that it'll catch this spot one day." I'm like, "Are you out of your mind? Pick up the freaking broom and dust that spot." Like he wouldn't touch. I was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm pretty sure in his head, he's like, "I spent $400 on this thing. It better freaking work," and it doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you actually got to be able to program. You know what you needed to do with the stupid Roomba? You got to have an interface where you put a floor plan layout of your whole house, because letting it try to figure it out on its own is not going to work. Again, human interaction.
Some versions are smarter than others.
No, 100%. and they're not smarter; they're programmed better.
Yeah, it all comes down to the algorithm, right?
No, it comes down to human beings. Human beings got to figure it out first.
For sure.
I was gonna say, by the way, are you guys drinking anything while we're talking?
No,
you
can. No?
By all means.
I've been drinking all that.
Good.
In my glass, and it's
nice.
Yeah.
Well done. You know what though? You got
nice single malt.
You got the logo on that glass. You need the mallet one. You need the axe, the new one.
Tell you why mess with perfection? You could
that's
use
a classic. That's a classic logo, man. Yeah, for sure.
You need the axe head. The axe head will serve you better.
For sure. So haha, like that AI FedEx robot at warehouses to stack boxes gave up working within 30 seconds. Oh man. That robot wanted to be unionized. It's like, forget this, man. Forget it. I'm out.
Do not get in the path of those. You will die. Okay. You will get run over and you will die.
So the one that gets me is whenever you see the Boston Dynamics like robot dog or whatever, that's when I'm out.
Right.
Anytime I see that,
I'm scary
like,
one. That one is really scary.
T1000 or whatever it is, I'm out.
The bipedal one. The bipedal one is even worse. Like it's jumping around like it looks
like they're running around.
And then it can like gyroscope its hips and flip down off the boxes and then kind of re-articulate itself. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous, man.
They look like the droids from Attack of the Clones. You know the big ones with the arms and they go, you know, like,
yes. Yeah.
Like the next war will be fought with droids, man. It's gonna be
which is kind of the opposite, because Star Wars went backwards. They went from AI to cloning, and then they said forget the cloning, and we're just gonna get regular scrubs. You know.
Yeah, because they realized that they realized that clones can revolt. So
Absolutely.
so you know they realized, oh, people will die for money. That's what they realized. If we pay these guys, if we give them food and shelter and we can give them money to send home to their family, they'll die for us. Right? It's just that thing. Whereas clones, you know, you don't pay them. They sort of like, you know, it's the whole scenario, right? And they're basically slaves. But then the slaves revolted, right? Figure that one out, right? Like,
imagine that.
Imagine that a slave wants to be free. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. So, Serge and I were talking earlier, and Jay, I don't know if you're aware of this. And speaking of crossovers and multiverses, but I gotta make sure I get this right. It's Cartoon Network. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna just share it. So you're not a Cartoon Network fan?
No, Cartoon Network's dead. Cartoon Network is gone.
This is true.
But then
there's this. Every Cartoon Network show confirmed for new crossover special, Crisis on Infinite Mirths. So here are the currently confirmed Cartoon Network shows popping up on the crossover special, Crisis on Infinite Mirths. And this is from comicbook.com. So Jellystone will be expanding its animated world even further with a massive Cartoon Network crossover event.
That might not happen anymore. If you go back to the date.
Yeah, it's July. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it a matter of, with Cartoon Network being dead, they can't get the license to do it? Or
it's not about that. The properties need to go somewhere. So it could be the fact that Warner Brothers has taken, I don't know who would have bought these licenses, because the IPs. I don't know if the original creators have any rights to them or anything like that. But right now, I think most of these things are in limbo. Like Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. But it says right there, actually at the bottom, poster for Cartoon Network versus Jellystone crossover, Crisis on Infinite Mirths, Cartoon Network / Warner Brothers Discovery. So I wonder, again, now the Cartoon Network is defunct, if someone's going to take a bid for the IPs. because as you know, that's how it usually works, right? Like
Yes.
somebody's going to buy these up. So
I
Unless
still
it's,
think
unless,
this movie can still go forward because it seemed to have been in progress before all of the stuff with the Cartoon
I
Network shutting down.
I know, but I think that it really comes down to IP rights because now that they're defunct, um, like the one entity can't just be making them without somebody's permission, right?
unless there's some sort of license, even though they're defunct, I wonder if there's some sort of licensing fee that extends
It's
past
still
it.
all under Warner Brothers, though. Yeah.
Is it or was it a license situation or was it a partnership? Right? There's a whole bunch of things that are unknown in that scenario, right? I guess we'd have to look into because somebody must be talking about it because I think a lot of people were looking forward to it, right? So
And it's really and I think didn't Cartoon Network go belly up before July? Like I think it was in like May or June that it went down. I don't because that report was only from like July 24th, so just about a month ago.
yeah,
The actual I think the website just went down last week or something like that.
yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know. Yeah,
Warner Brothers is having
I think it's still legit, but you'd have to dig into this one a little bit more.
Well, that would be interesting to see where that lies. I know that before, like when they were in a lot of,
I got it. The company plans to fully consolidate its TV animation divisions, merging Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network Studios. So it's now a joint studio with Warner Brothers.
right?
Yeah. So it will continue. It will continue. Yes.
Which is cool. That'll be that'll be an interesting property to watch. Like that'll be fun to see. Because I know like and this is probably about a year and a half or so ago, when DC was in some trouble and they were trying to figure out what to do with Time Warner and who's going to buy it and what they were going to do. The big thing was that they were just going to license off Batman, Superman, and all their characters, and not even worry about. They were actually going to go the Marvel route when you think about it, which is what Marvel did cinematically and had been doing since the 70s, 80s. Right?
Yep.
Well, I'm a big Powerpuff fan, so
me too. I'm a huge.
I would love to see that.
I'm an absolute huge Powerpuff Girls fan. I love Powerpuff.
Yeah, man. That cartoon was absolutely hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see Mojo Jojo taking on Samurai Jack.
Yeah, for sure.
Jojo. I love that guy.
Yeah. So, Surge, tell us about Fan Expo. How was it? We touched on it a little bit earlier, but some of your highlights, and then you have an announcement for those who have joined the stream like late. Surge is a fantastic artist, and he has some big news because he's got something on the horizon that we all should know about.
Yeah. A couple of things going on there. So first, Fan Expo, the Fan Expo Canada, big event as usual. And for those that have been to it, they know there's a north and south end. I was in the Artist Alley in the south end. Lots of traffic through there, lots of people coming in. I don't know what the latest numbers were, but it's hundreds of thousands of people that come through over that weekend. It was very hectic. It's a lot of effort, but it also has a lot of rewards in it. Financially and also with working, reaching out to people, getting on with other artists and doing all the wild and crazy stuff. And it's a really fun event for everybody. Definitely, if you've never been to a con, you definitely gotta check it out. Would you start with this one? I'm not sure, but I think it's definitely an experience for anybody, and it's definitely worth checking out. It is Canada's biggest one, so definitely check that out. For myself, specifically, I do sci-fi, comic book, prints, original art, a little bit of everything there, and a lot of sketch covers. So our booth is, I've managed to grow it over the years as well. So I have I was in a smaller spot. Now I'm in the end cap, so it's we get a lot more exposure. We get a lot more people coming through. It's a fun experience that way. Like I said, though, it is a lot of effort too as well. So this year, more than previous years, there's a ton of commissions that came in, and oh, there you go. And there's the setup there. Beautiful.
That's a nice setup.
Thank you.
really
You'll
nice
see,
setup.
we have some prints. We have some stuff that's already framed. So people are, there's a smaller increase in the price. People are picking up some of these prints and just taking them home and putting them on the wall right away. So they don't have to worry about, finding frames and this and that, trying to, match it up with some of the other pictures on the wall type of thing. For myself personally, one of the things that we all try to work towards is trying to get some work in the industry as well. And so one of the big announcements for me is that I've gotten one of my first variant cover for an upcoming show. It's going to be released for the London Comic Con. Let me see if I got.
Can I show it?
There. Yeah. You should be able to show it on that same set of pictures, I think, or the next set. And so there it is. Yes.
Wow.
So this was dropped off to me during the show. They had just received the prints, and it's will be available to buy at the London Comic Con, and then afterwards you can buy it myself, or if there's any left after the show. It's going to be a pretty big show because it is related to what they call a celebration, the 40th anniversary for the Ninja Turtles. Kevin Eastman will be there along with a whole bunch of other Ninja Turtle related celebrities, either artists or some people that have been in the movies, some of the voice actors. So a lot of people associated to Ninja Turtles in general. So, and I was lucky enough to be the guy that got the variant cover for that. So if you go to the next slide, I think you get a closer pic of what's going on there.
Oh, that looks like a sketch cover.
I think that's a sketch cover I had done earlier in the show, and somebody had picked that up. But there's I don't know if you can jump back to this one. Inside of this set of pictures, there's another one that's related to it. There we go.
It might be a little bit out of focus, but you still get a general idea.
Yeah. So that was a very fun setup to this, and it started actually last year. I'd attended a smaller show in the London area. The guy running the show is also running the bigger London Comic Con show, and he saw some of my work. Jake.
Yep.
And he saw the stuff, and he said, "You know what? We're planning to get the Eastman to come to the show. It'd be good if we can do something for that." Initially, it was only going to be a poster, and we kept talking back and forth throughout the year, and we managed to get it into a book, and now it'll be available at the show.
That's great. So this
I think the VIPs will also get it. The con exclusive, and then afterwards we'll be able to purchase them myself or through the showrunners.
Oh, fantastic! Do you know what book it's going to be?
It is the TMNT Black, White, and Blue issue number 4.
Sweet.
So there's that series of Ninja Turtle books is an anthology book. So there's like 4 different stories inside of the issue. Various artists, various designs. The main theme, as mentioned, is the black, white, and green theme through all the stories, and that's what you see on the cover as well. I do have a color version of that, but it's for this purpose. It's all that's the black and white and the green. So yeah, a very fun thing to do, and hopefully it leads to a lot more.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to be in London. I'm not sure if you're going to be there too, Jay. So that's going to be one heck of a show in London, Ontario. A lot of great guests, but it's basically going to be a TMNT extravaganza. So if you are a fan of the Turtles in a Half Shell, I highly recommend that you head on out to the show in London. I think it's September 14th.
Yeah, 14 and 15.
14 and 15, so it's a Saturday, Sunday show.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and Comix Asylum is going to be helping to publicize a lot of stuff that's there, and we're actually going to be throwing in an issue of Atrium, our own book, into the grab bag. So you can pick up Surge's variant cover as well as a copy of Atrium #1 when you head over to the London Comic Con. But getting back to Fan Expo, Jay, you were there as well too.
Yeah,
correct?
and I witnessed that. Surge wouldn't even let me touch it. He was like, "Get away!" I was like, "Dang, man, holy crap! Like, it's freaking gold." I was like, "Ouch, Jesus!"
That's great.
Nuts. No,
what was the show like?
It was amazing. It was amazing. No, it was your typical Fan Expo experience. I mean, lots of people, lots of sights, lots of sounds. My foot, my oh, I thought
Did we lose him? No, he's back.
My feet still hurt. So I mean, like, you know,
Right.
it's right. Unlike the man here who, you know, has to protect his wares and slap people away from like touching his comics. So, you know, I had to walk around the entire floor.
I'm feeling it. It's yes, slap all that slap work. It works up a lot of muscles too.
It was all the signings. You should have seen his hand was like he was like going crazy with all the signatures. It was nuts. No, but seriously, it was great seeing Surge there and seeing Hugh and all of our friends. Saw a lot of great things, a lot of new stuff that I wasn't expecting. I met this vendor who does a lot of like leather work with jackets. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I have a couple videos on coming on the way. Saw a few people. Gina Carano was there. I was surprised she was actually there.
Wow.
Yeah, Gina
Yeah,
Carano.
she's one of those ones where you're like, wow, she's back on the circuit.
Yeah,
And,
it was really interesting seeing her you know, signing autographs. She was right next to Esposito. So, you know, again, it was very, very interesting to see all these celebrities in one place, as always. I don't get very starstruck, so it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool, it's cool, move on. But as always, like, because it's in two different sides of the center, you got to go from one end of the building to the other end of the building. It's annoying as hell because for anybody who's a Torontonian, you know just how you have to actually go through an escalator. You got to go down an escalator, and the problem was
down around
exactly around the corner to the bend. You know, it's literally like a wizard's castle.
The scarecrow, and
yeah, exactly. The real problem is freaking two of the escalators were dead, so there were traffic jams all the time. It was really bad. You know, you had these freaking escalator operators down there in the pits, and we're like, wow, that's crazy. So other than that, though, it was a lot of fun. I got to sit in Knight Rider car, the kit.
Very
that was
cool.
awesome. You know, that was really cool. I got all these videos coming, and I think the highlight this year was the Paramount Lodge, which I've been in the Paramount Lodge before, but this year they had like a full Star Trek exhibit, and it had a lot of great memorabilia in there. You know, like the Salt Vampires and a lot of stuff from the new series. And my brother is he's a huge Star Trek fan, right? And then they showed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new mutations. That was really fun, the video games and stuff like that. So yeah, there was a lot of great stuff to take in this year. A lot of great exhibits and activations. I think the activations
just reminded me of one thing as well. The eBay booth, they actually forgot to bring a lot of their wall art, so they actually came around and wound up buying a lot of art from all the artists. And
that is so cool.
Whoa! Well. Say that again, Surge.
The eBay had their own display there, and they wound up buying a lot of my art to display at their booth.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's probably the only good thing about it, because eBay being there really makes no sense to me.
But it was kind of weird, but at the same time, hey, if you guys want to buy, no problem.
I went through their booth, and they have all these collectible cards. They have some collectible records, and the prices are just stupid. Like I was like, are you kidding me right now? You're charging how much for this magazine? And you see the Playboy magazines on the rack. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like, you guys read the room. Come on, read the freaking room, dude. Like, this is crazy. It was one of these things where it's like, I'm like, you kind of like things that make you go, what the hell is that, right?
Right.
And they had this whole living room display where people are displaying their stuff. It was a really weird booth. But heck, you know what? They paid Fan Expo for the space. They can do whatever the heck they want with it. So that's one of those
for
things.
sure.
And the fact that they're actually paying artists, bravo. That I'm gonna
Yes,
go
that's the big
absolutely.
point. That's the
Absolutely.
big point.
That is huge.
Derek Kuto, I was there, so he was at Fan Expo. Hope you had a good time. He met Dolph Lundgren. All right, to sign my classics movie He-Man. He was a complete a-hole, though.
I've heard some crazy things about Dolph, but I'm surprised he was being an asshole this time. Usually he's pretty cordial. I don't know why. What did he do, Derek? Like, did he tell you sign, get out? Is that what he said, or was he just not talking to you? Because I've heard a lot of stories about Dolph Lundgren.
Playboys at a Comic-Con show isn't that Toy Fair magazines.
Haha. There's porn for geeks, but then there's just basic porn. Okay?
Straight. Yeah. Jay, did you see the life-size Jabba, the guy, and Salacious Crumb? Now there's a character. I have never liked that character. Not Jabba, Salacious Crumb. Yeah, every time I see him, I just want to. Was there a life-size Jabba?
There's always a life-size Jabba. He's in the hallway.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like at Niagara Falls.
It's the same one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the 501st.
It's the same. The 501st.
It's the 501st Legion. They bring him around all the time, right? And Salacious Crumb, Salacious Crumb, he's always a fan favorite, but obviously Steve's not a fan. I want to kill that little fucker.
Yeah. Hashtag annoying.
He tried to kill C-3PO. He tried to kill C-3PO. He must die.
Hilarious. For sure. So we've had a great time here today. I think we're going to probably wrap it up. We're a little bit over an hour and a half. We got one more comment before we start to wind it down. Darth Rashid, the fact that they have made 2 statues that resemble Snipes' blade, they should let Snipes make one more blade. Well, he's definitely a legacy. He has a legacy as that character. People love him, and Wolverine and Deadpool just proved that the love is real. So, he endures. Let's put it that way, for sure. So, go ahead. Sorry, Jay.
No, I was going to say that a lot of people just have nostalgia for original characters. You know what I mean? But just like anything else, I think that you should give another actor a chance. You know what I mean? That's I like other performances. You know what I mean? I'd like to see the new. Sorry, I like to see the new take. It's exactly like Dune. I love the original Dune from from the '80s, but this new Dune is absolutely bonkers. It's just a feast for the eyes, and the story. They're changing it a bit, but for the most part, I can still get on board. So,
yeah. No, I never really watched the Dunes in the '80s, and I've never read the books. So when I saw, and I love Denis Villeneuve, I don't care how slow his movies are. Like, he's just a phenomenal filmmaker. So I'm totally enjoying what's going on with Dune. I can watch Rebecca Ferguson all day. The effects are fantastic. I'm totally enjoying it. For sure. And I like dabbling my foot into filmmaking and whatnot. It's good to see new people get new breaks, right? Because realistically, it's kind of like music. Everyone has like about 10 years of like being mega hot, and then something happens and they then they move to the side a little bit. There was a time where like Johnny Depp was hot. There was a time where like Tom Cruise is just Tom Cruise, but even he isn't as mega as he used to be. And then you just need fresh blood. You need it with art. You need it with anything that's creative. So bring on all of the new actors, because the more actors that are working, the more vibrant and fulfilling the art scene is, whether it's comics, film, toy making, whatever. You just need new blood.
From real people, not AI.
And real people, not AI, for sure. So, Serge, I want to really thank you for spending the night with us. I know that you've had a really busy time and then recovering from Fan Expo. But what can people look forward to see? Where can they look forward to seeing you? What do you have coming up? What are your handles?
Right. So first and foremost, if they want to get in contact with me, going to Instagram, the one Surge is the best to get me at. That's the one where I'm most active. Also on Threads with the same name. I even have a Twitter X account. I think a lot of people have left that one behind, so I'm not even looking over there anymore. But I do have my own website also with the onesurge.com. You can find a lot of different stuff on there as well. And you can send messages through there as well as through Instagram. Those are probably the two best spots to get to contact me if you're looking for any commission work, any special pieces, etc. I do all sorts of stuff, be it digital, be it hand drawn. I do a little bit of everything. So if there's anything that you're thinking of or wanting to get done, let me know. We can probably make it happen.
All right, that's
and then,
fantastic.
Of course, the London show coming up in a couple of weeks, and then from there, after London, the next show will be one from a comic store called Wayside Comics. They're doing a special show up here in the Newmarket area in October, end of October. I believe it's the 27th. I think that one's going to be definitely worth checking out if you're interested in beer is being done at a brewery. So you'll be able to walk around with a beer and talk to the artists that are going to be on display there.
I think
nice
we'll be
setup.
there as well too. I think we're going to be there at Wayside.
Yeah, definitely a new experience to try out. The Omar that runs the Wayside Comic Store, great guy. He's they've had a very good year and they just continue to expand. They have a lot of artists that come through that store as well, so it's a bit of a plug for them. They are definitely worth checking out if you're in the Newmarket area. And then finally, to close off the year, I'm going to be in Halifax. We're going to do a HalCon, and that'll be the last show of the year. And then we'll take a little bit of a break, recuperate, and then get ready for next year.
Oh, that's amazing. Jay, any final comments before we? And we'll give Derek one last little look because he's actually given us a little bit of insight into why Dolph might not have been the happiest camper.
Yeah. No. I just think that at the end of the day, whether it's Snipes, whether it's anyone else who picks up the mantle, I think that we can look forward to a great performance from a new actor and someone who's willing to give a new take on the character. AI is always going to be a debated subject no matter where we are. I think even in the future, no matter how far. I mean, people are still talking about how the morality of certain topics. It's always there's always going to be somebody who's going to question technology and advancements and everything along those lines. So we are at the behest of growth. Growth is painful, growth is scary, right? So that's how that works. And yeah, man, Comic Cons, right? I mean, like London Comic Con, Fan Expo, San Diego Comic Con. It never really ends. We're just going to keep going all the way until the end of the year, and shows are going to be great. But Surge, can't wait to see you at the London Comic Con. I hope you have a good time there. And guys, please definitely check out Surge, the one Surge on Instagram. Follow all the social medias, and of course, if you are looking for any commissions or any sort of work, give him a ring. He might be able to help you.
Absolutely. Before we go, the woman telling Dolph, and I guess this is why he was not happy, or at least seemed unhappy, that she loved him and loved his movies. He didn't even look at her, disregarded everybody, no eye contact, just signed his name and next. Felt like Soup Nazi from Seinfeld. Well, that's unfortunate.
It is. Unfortunately, a lot of times these actors, they're And was that the first day, Derek, or was that the last day? Because by the last day, most people are just burned out. If that was the Sunday, I pretty much I have a funny feeling he probably was tired of just seeing people and shaking hands and whatever, and he just wanted to get out of there. Especially if it was like at the tail end of the day, that would probably be something. I mean, but by the end of the day on Sunday, I wanted to go. I was my feet were hurting, everything was hurting. So but does that negate the fact that he's being paid to be there to entertain people and to and sign autographs and it's that thing, right? Like where do you draw the line? He's gone through his own problems though. I mean, like he's battling cancer or something like that. There's a lot of things going on in his life. So who knows, right? But I totally agree with you. That really would sour my. It's what is it they say? Never meet your heroes. I guess yeah. I think that's really what it is. You know what? Like I said, go in with lower expectations, right? And just expect, especially because you're in this environment, just expect that not everyone's going to be happy about being there, right? If you interact with them and they happen to interact with you, great. Just go about it as if you got lucky. I mean, like it's the same thing as if you met him on the street. Unfortunately, you had to pay for that autograph. It really does suck.
And you're correct, Jay. He actually is suffering from liver cancer, and he's in a tough spot. So the fact that he went to the show and was able to meet everybody, it's hard enough when you're in perfect health and good health, and apparently his diagnosis isn't the greatest. So you got to take that into consideration, right?
He needs money right now, which is why he did it. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's and again, take that experience as you will, Derek. I mean, like, I'm okay. Saturday, his signature was posted as $80. By the time we went there, it was $130 and $200 for pick and signature. Yeah, dude, he's hurting for money, man. The dude, he's not getting many roles. You know what I mean? I mean, like, you'd think he was an Aquaman, he was on Expendables, he was doing this, he was doing that, right? But the reality is he's not getting any younger, right? He's not getting many roles, right? And as Steve said, he is suffering right now. So I would just take it as a great assault myself and just say, hey, I got to meet the man. He's not as tall as he was. He's not as tall as I thought, and I got my thing signed, and it's going to be worth a little bit more now. I think that's probably the best way to look at it, and just keep He-Man in your memories, and keep this, the
Universal Soldier and
the Red Scorpion. Keep all those. The Punisher, if you want to go that, he wasn't the best Punisher. He was not. He was definitely not the best Punisher. But keep all those guys in your head, and just remember that those are characters, right? The real person is a person, and unfortunately, when you go through things like that, it happens, man. But at the end of the day, I hope you had a great time, Derek. I think that's the most important. Screw Dolph Lundgren, man. Screw him. Okay, just if you enjoyed yourself at Fan Expo, don't let that little experience sour your overall enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everyone, I want to thank everyone who came into the stream and hung out with us tonight. All the great comments. Thanks for all the viewers on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Looking forward to next week. And in the meantime, keep it indie and support your local comic book shop.